For Kant, in order to act morally, you have to be acting for the sake of duty. And acting for the sake of duty means that we are acting from the motive of a good will and nothing else. This is because moral duties are unconditional, that is, they apply to us regardless of our desires or feelings. Kant will now go on to say that this is because moral duties take the form of categorical imperatives, not hypothetical imperatives. And the point of this video is we're going to say what those two things are. After establishing this, he can say that underlying all moral duties is the supreme principle of morality, which he calls the categorical imperative. Firstly, what is an imperative? Well, an imperative is just a command. It tells you that you ought to do something. Now, a hypothetical imperative takes the form if X, then Y. It is an imperative that is dependent on some or other condition. If you want to get better at running, then go running 3 times a week, is a hypothetical imperative. The reason it is hypothetical is because the command go running 3 times a week is dependent upon the hypothesis that you want to get better at running. If you don't want to get better, or running just isn't your thing, then the command doesn't apply to you. When the shopkeeper thinks, if I want to retain my good reputation, then I ought to continue charging customers a fair price, he is acting on a hypothetical imperative. So, hypothetical imperatives are dependent on conditions, they're conditional on our desires and feelings, and they are fickle and can change. Categorical imperatives, on the other hand, are commands that we ought to follow irrespective of how we feel about following them. They take the form do X. They are unconditional. They are something that you categorically must do. Keep your promises. That is a categorical imperative. It applies whether we want to keep our promise or not. For Kant, moral duties take the form of categorical, not hypothetical imperatives. Moral duties express demands on rational agents that are unconditional, and so therefore they must take the form of categorical imperatives. And this seems understandable, because imagine someone who, when told that she has a duty to care for her sick relative, says, caring for my sick relative, it just doesn't serve any of my personal goals that I have at the moment. You might think, well, your personal goals are irrelevant. You have a moral duty to care for your sick relative, whether you like it or not. Underlying all moral duties is a supreme principle of morality, which Kant calls the categorical imperative. It may seem a little confusing how we've suddenly gone from talking about categorical imperatives plural, like keep your promises, care for sick relatives, to the categorical imperative. But basically, because hypothetical imperatives are all different in terms of their ends, you can't summarize all of them in the form of a single hypothetical imperative. We all have different goals, so different hypothetical imperatives are going to apply to each of us, and ones that I follow are going to contradict ones that you follow. But categorical imperatives apply to all of us in the same way. They place unconditional demands on us for the same reason. And so moral duties, which, as we have seen, are expressed categorically, can be expressed as a supreme moral principle, the categorical imperative. So that's how we get there. Confusingly, the categorical imperative can be expressed in 3 different forms, which according to Kant basically mean the same thing one way or another. The first one, sort of seen as the main one, the formula of the law of nature states act only according to that maxim whereby you can at the same time will that it should become universal law. And we're going to discover what the hell that means in the next video, because that requires a little bit of explaining and breaking down. But very quickly, just as a taster, in short, the idea is that when you are considering some moral action, you have to, which we're going to call the maxim, you have to universalize that and imagine everybody doing it. And if everybody doing it, if that would lead to some contradiction in reason, it would mean that the action is morally forbidden. And if it wouldn't lead to a contradiction, then it means morally it's acceptable for you to do that thing. But we're going to explain that more in the next video. See you there.